Have you noticed how, just when you begin to draw closer to God, something strange happens? Right after a sincere prayer, at that moment when you truly connect, suddenly a wave of thoughts appears as if trying to drag you away. And the worst part? You don't even want it, but you feel that desire that seems to come out of nowhere. An intense sexual desire, a heat in the body that surprises you. No, this is not just hormones. It's not only about your past, nor is it just in your head. This is much deeper. It is ancient. It is a strategy, a carefully designed spiritual trap. And it has a clear objective, the purpose you carry within you. Listen carefully. The enemy does not waste time with those already far from the path. He is not concerned with what represents no threat. He goes after those who have been called, those who carry light in their eyes and fire in their spirit. If he manages to manipulate your thoughts, little by little he tries to silence what you carry inside. It is not just any desire. It is not just a common temptation. It is a battle that occurs in the invisible, and its objective is clear: to interrupt what God is forming within you. You were called to break chains, to free others. So the attack comes trying to chain you again. You were born to walk in purity with purpose, and he offers you poison, but flavored as pleasure. But today your eyes will be opened, and when you see what is really behind this, something inside you will never be the same again. So stay with me until the end, because what I am going to show you now will transform the way you see this struggle. Have you wondered why this temptation seems tailor-made for you, as if it knew exactly where to strike? Well, it does know. The enemy does not shoot blindly. He watches, analyzes, studied your history, your family tree, your emotional triggers. He knows the magnitude of what you carry and knows that if you truly awaken, hell loses ground. You did not come into the world to fit in. You carry something divine that vibrates differently. That's why everything affects you more intensely. That's why the struggles feel heavier. That's why you feel the fire descend again and again. You are not ordinary. You are a threat, and the enemy knows it. He does not just want your body. He wants your clarity, your spiritual vision, because if he manages to confuse your focus, he delays your calling. And there is something almost no one says. This temptation you feel was precisely designed, like a spiritual algorithm. It was made to exploit every wound, every moment of lack, every vulnerability in your soul. It is not because you're weak, it is because you are dangerous. Your purity is not just a choice, it is a sign from heaven. When you live in purity, your connection with God is clear. You walk boldly, speak with impact, change the atmosphere around you. But when you fall into something hidden, secret, that frequency becomes confused. You begin to doubt yourself, delay decisions, confuse guilt with condemnation, and suddenly what used to move you fades away. A distracted chosen one is a delayed chosen one, and that is the great trap. The attack does not come in the form of a fight. It disguises itself as pleasure, as relief. But behind this, there is a plan, and it is spiritual. The objective? To disconnect you from the fire that dwells within.
This is not just a phase. It's not something everyone goes through. It's war, and the battlefield is inside you. Freeing yourself is difficult because those chains are not made of flesh alone. They're made in the spirit. But now you're beginning to see more clearly. Now you understand that what seemed like just a weakness was actually a distraction created to delay you. And the question that remains is, what comes after this? Because in the next few minutes, you will discover something even more important than the temptation itself. You will understand what awakens it and why it intensifies precisely when you are about to break. Stay here, because the true enemy is about to be revealed. Let's go deep now, because what I have to tell you, few truly manage to understand. Let me tell you something important. The sexual desire itself is not the villain of the story. In fact, this desire was placed within you for something much greater, by God. It is like a sacred flame, a gift that has everything to do with connection, true surrender, and the creation of life. When lived at the right time, with awareness and within a covenant, this desire is something powerful, beautiful, almost divine. The problem begins when this flame, which should be burning on the altar of purity, is ignited in the wrong place. in hiding, in isolation, in fantasy, in haste. When this happens, instead of warming, it hurts. Instead of blessing, it burns. Desire at its core is a door, and every door takes us somewhere. It can lead you to something sacred that connects you with purpose, lightness, and presence, or drag you into a dark space where shame and emptiness repeat in silent and exhausting cycles. And here is a serious point. The enemy doesn't even need to expose you to destroy you. It's enough for him to touch areas of your life in secret. Every time you give in to that solitary impulse, every click that seems harmless, every thought quietly fed, that is not just a moment of weakness, it is an opening. You end up activating something that goes beyond the physical, something spiritual. And when the mind is distracted, even for just a few minutes, you allow a strange energy to settle in your thoughts, in your emotions, even in your dreams. That's why after a moment of pleasure comes that strange feeling, as if you had lost something important, as if you had disconnected from who you really are. It's not just the release of pleasure, it's an exchange. You give something valuable, something sacred, and in return receive a relief that disappears quickly, leaving only the weight. That is the trap. You promise yourself it was the last time, but next time the desire comes even more distorted, the thoughts more chaotic, and the guilt heavier. And there, little by little, doubt begins. Will I ever be free? But look, let me tell you a truth that almost no one says. You are not broken. You are in battle. And this battle is not against your desire, it is to rescue it. Because when that desire is clean, healed, and directed, it becomes a powerful force in God's hands. Imagine a version of yourself with this same intensity as now, but fully aligned, firm, guided by a clear purpose, without guilt, without fear. That version already exists in the heart of God, but you will have to fight for it.
Before continuing, think with me. What if that area that seems like your greatest weakness is actually your spiritual training ground? And what if what oppresses you today is precisely what will be transformed into healing, not just for you, but for others as well? So stay with me until the end, because next we will talk about something that almost no one understands: why attacks become stronger just before your next level, and why the enemy is not so concerned with your past. What truly scares him is what lies ahead. When you decide to draw closer to God and take firm steps toward your spiritual growth, it seems like everything becomes more difficult. Temptations resurface at unexpected moments, the oldest desires reappear, and challenges seem to intensify just when you are about to advance. This resistance is not a coincidence, but a spiritual attack designed to distract you and divert you from the purpose you carry within. The enemy does not attack those who remain still. He waits for the exact moment when you begin to rise and act. He perceives your progress and seeks to entrap you through impulses of the flesh and distractions, with the goal of preventing you from reaching what God has destined for you. Every obstacle, memory, or sudden desire appears strategically to delay you, especially when you are close to experiencing something sacred and transformative. Every spiritual struggle is an indicator that you are marked and recognized in the invisible. It is not a sign of failure, but that you carry something powerful that the enemy fears. Difficulties reveal your value, purpose, and the inner fire God has placed in you. Precise and constant temptation demonstrates that you are on the right path and that your liberation and growth are near. The text emphasizes that temptation does not disqualify you. On the contrary, it indicates that you have been identified as someone important and that your liberation will be significant. Every attempt by the enemy to make you feel unworthy or weak is only a challenge to strengthen your faith and purpose. Standing firm amid these trials reveals your spiritual strength and your ability to overcome obstacles, transforming each struggle into preparation for your calling. Finally, the central message is that you are not weak or a failure. You are sacred and growing. Every fall, every difficulty is part of a process that prepares you to become the version of yourself the enemy never wanted to awaken. The struggle you face does not define who you are. It reveals your true potential and brings you closer to the freedom and purpose God has planned for you. Let me repeat louder than that voice of doubt that insists on appearing. You are not being attacked because you are weak. You are being attacked because you were chosen. Now let's talk about something powerful: fasting. Fasting is like pressing the mute button on the voice of the flesh and at the same time turning up the volume of the spirit. It is when you look at your body and say, "Hey, you are not in charge here," and at the same time you look to heaven and declare, "I am ready to go deeper." There are bonds that only break when fasting comes into action. It is not a punishment, it is not sacrifice in vain. It is a positioning. It is you showing through actions that you choose God's presence over fleeting desires.
And here comes something that may feel a little uncomfortable: the importance of having a community. It's uncomfortable, right? Because shame always wants to push us into a corner, make us hide. And when we isolate ourselves, the enemy celebrates. He loves it when we stay silent, shut down, and think we must face everything alone. Because if no one knows about your struggle, no one can fight with you. But when you bring your pain to the light, when you choose to open your heart and ask for help, the power of that struggle begins to weaken. That is when responsibility becomes a powerful weapon. When you stop pretending everything is fine and begin to be real, you disarm secrecy, which is one of the enemy's favorite tools. Never forget this. The flesh can make noise, it can scream loudly, but the spirit is stronger. Temptation may try to dominate your attention, but the Holy Spirit, even when speaking softly, has an authority that silences everything around it and holds a truth the enemy hopes you never discover. Shame does not heal desire. What heals is truth. So when that voice comes saying, "You will fall again," declare with faith, "I am a new creation." When they accuse you saying, "Is this who you are?" respond, "I was set apart by God." And if that voice whispers, "Now it went too far," say out loud, "Grace found me, mercy held me, and I am still standing." You are not weak. You are not bound by your past. You are not a victim of your mistakes. The same spirit that raised Jesus from the dead lives within you now. And if that power is in you, that not only do you survive the attack, you transform the battlefield. You recover what was lost. You break patterns that existed for generations. You carry freedom wherever you go. Because when a chosen one awakens, hell panics. But there is one last truth that seals all of this beautifully. Your body, your desire, your mind, your past, your present, and your future only have meaning when they are aligned with your calling. When all of that surrenders to purpose, even temptation becomes a tool. Even the struggle becomes training. Even weakness becomes strength. What seemed like darkness transforms into light, and what seemed like defeat becomes victory. Always remember, you are not alone, you are not defeated, and you are not just anyone. You were chosen. And although the struggle seems fierce now, what is coming is infinitely greater. It is time to rise and claim what has always been yours.